Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. It's Monday. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus are here with me to look back over the weekend's football in the Scottish Premiership. We'll take a look at English football as well as West Ham continue to surprise everyone in the English Premier League. We will hear from Ange Postecoglou, get the thoughts of Steven Gerrard and a very happy Graham Alexander. We'll also hear from David Moyes and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well after a miserable Manchester derby. So lots to talk about. You can give us your opinion as well on our YouTube feed. Try and keep it sensible on this lovely Monday afternoon. And if you want to, you can download the PLZ Soccer app, which allows you to hit submissions and put some messages in. And with that in mind, Ruffy, I think it's only right and proper we wish Dave Cunningham happy 61st birthday. Dave's watched the show for a long time. He's a big fan. 61 birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Dave. I'm sure he'll have a great day. I think he has been on previous birthdays as well. I think he just celebrates them every time they come round. Yeah. So, happy birthday, Dave.
Yep, it's a normal thing to do.
No, we don't have to go about shouting about it, but...
Yeah, anyway, Dave, we're delighted that you're 61. You're still with us. Absolutely superb. Gary says, Peter, I won a gold medal with my team at the Special Olympics in 2017 at Sheffield. We were playing football. My team was called Stirling and Milton All-Stars. I'm a goalkeeper. 7 asides. Brilliant. Well done, Gary. The only piece of advice I would give you is try and get more medals. Ruffy thought he was going to win medals non-stop from 1971. It just didn't materialise.
No, so take it when it's there. You know, enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad says, hi guys, I want to know about your thoughts about the songs that were sung at Dens Park yesterday by the so-called Green Brigade. Do you think this should be stamped out or Celtic should face sanctions? Well, we're going to talk about that in the not too distant future, actually. Once we discuss going through all the games, we'll get to Dens Park very shortly indeed. So let's go through the games. Lots to talk about. Incidentally, just a quick one. Eddie Howe is the Newcastle United manager. Xavi's been unveiled at Barcelona, but Howe finally decides to take a job, Ali.
And pretty far north too, which we wondered about. Yep, it's an interesting one. I think a very lucrative position. I think there'll be significant funds there now to go and see what he does, and it'll be interesting to see how he spends some of that money. But I think when every other club in the land knows that there's money available, I think you might see that quite fantastic prices for players going in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got a huge kitty, certainly more than he would have received at Celtic to spend at Newcastle at St James's Park. Will he be a success? Only time will tell. OK, Rangers 4, Ross County 2. Rangers again conceding a goal, Tam, in this match, but they have a bit about them to fight back and get the win that they craved.
Yeah, again, they go behind early in the game, but they didn't panic. They got worked their way back into the game and eventually ran out very comfortable winners. They'll be disappointed that they've lost 2 goals at home. They certainly don't look as anywhere near as solid as they did last season, and I include the goalkeeper in that as well. So that'll be in the back of their mind that they keep losing goals. But if they can score 3 and 4 every game, then they'll keep winning games. It was great to see Ryan Kent back. You know, back at his best, scored a great goal. Was at the heart of everything. Ryan Jack come back from 9 months out as well. So listen, I think that Rangers, there's a lot of positives going at Rangers just at the minute. They're starting to hit form, certainly domestically. And if they keep winning, they're going to be hard to catch.
Yeah, Steven Gerrard, this is what he made of Ryan Kent's goal, the one that you were talking about. You see the difference he made from the bench in midweek. He looked dangerous, but really sharp, and I thought he's built on that against Ross County. It was a strong 60 minutes, and the goal is world class without a shadow of a doubt. We've just got to stop conceding those sloppy goals and get back to clean sheets and being tough to play against. Yeah, I mean, listen, Ruffy, it was an absolute belter of a goal from him.
Yeah, it was a great strike. Yeah, if he can strike these balls the way he can, they're all over the place. It's difficult for the goalkeepers. You know, we've seen 3 or 4 in the last 3 or 4 weeks. You know, screamers if the ball's hit properly. And he's one of these players, and he's right. You could see with the dugout that he was on the park and he was making a difference, and everybody knew that there was a chance of something happening.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Ali, Bakuna's goal was a good one as well.
Yeah, a nice 1-2, Joe Aribo, and then he took it well, just sort of drilled it into the top corner. Yeah, I thought he played well, actually. I thought I thought Kent stole the show. I thought for the hour that he was on the pitch, I thought he was the catalyst for so much of Rangers' aggression in the final third. I thought, similar to Celtic, I thought they were very easy on the eye from middle to front, but there's still an element of vulnerability about them defensively.
Yep, and Ryan Jack is another bonus, I think, for Rangers. International break, that will allow him just to get that little bit more time to work on his fitness. And then obviously Steven Gerrard, I think, will want to give him even more game time than he did at the weekend.
Yeah, I think you can tell with the ovation he got when he came on that he's a massive part. He was a huge part in stopping Celtic winning the 10 in a row. He played a lot of games, and I think he's a very, very good player. He's different to what Rangers have got in the middle of the park. He can sit there and he's defensive minded. He goes and breaks things up. I don't think Rangers have really got that. They've got a lot of guys that like to go forward. So also adds competition in there. Now they're getting players back. Guys like Davis and guys like Arfield in the middle of the park. So their squad all of a sudden looks really, really strong again. Maybe getting 2 or 3 back. So no, I think it's a big boost to get him back. And as you said, he's got that time now to go and work on his fitness, maybe play a couple of bounce games or whatever during the international break, and he'll be ready to push for a start soon. Yeah,
Ruffy, your favourite team, Ross County. They got a big win against Dundee. It didn't quite work out for them. They've lost 11 games in a row to Rangers. I think it's a free hit, really. Their next 3 games have got Hibs, home to Dundee United and away to St Mirren.
Yeah, they're still hard games, and Malky will try and take the 2 goals that he scored at Ibrox at the weekend. There's not many teams go there and get 2 goals, so... But from the defensive side, it's been there all season. They're conceding goals left, right, and centre, and that's why they are where they are. And there's a wee gap beginning there. I think it's 4 points or something like that. So if they don't get a win pretty soon, they could be tailed off.
Okay, now to Dens Park, Dundee against Celtic. It finished 4-2 to Celtic. There was more than a few things that I think were talking points in the game, off the park and on the park as well. Now, the one thing you'll get on this programme is opinion. Some you like, some you don't. That's the nature of it. We try and talk about football as much as we possibly can. So I'll start the ball rolling on it in a personal opinion. Ruffy, I think the Celtic fans that were singing songs and shouting during the minute's silence, I thought it was disgraceful. I thought they tarnished the club's reputation. And I also feel that if you really feel that strongly about, or you're against poppies and what it stands for, then go and get a licence from the City Council and organise a rally, or write to your MP and complain about it, that you don't want it. But I don't think you should use the platform of Celtic Football Club to voice it. Anybody with a modicum of decency could stay silent for a minute. I look at it and I think about the people who died, the millions of people who died trying to fight against the tyranny of Germany in the First World War, the Nazis in the Second World War, and I think they're worthy of 60 seconds of silence, regardless of your politics, which, I think unfortunately for Celtic, yesterday, they used the platform of Celtic Football Club with their scarves, certain fans. I'm not saying it's the majority, because I think a lot of Celtic fans, decent fans in that ground, were disgusted by the actions of some.
Yeah, I think you've hit it in the head. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to everybody who died in these wars that we're talking about. And let's not kid ourselves on. There'll be a lot of Celtic supporters died in these wars, and the players as well, Celtic players. So they should take that into consideration. It's a remembrance day of everybody who lost their life, and it was just utterly embarrassing for the club. And then the sooner they realise that, the better, because it is a minority. There's a lot of people who probably did do the silence, but it's just happening far too often now.
Yeah. Over and above that, now everybody have their opinion on the tennis balls. It disrupted the game. Fine, they threw the balls off. The objective behind this is to highlight the fact that a certain section within Celtic fans, a certain section, not them all, a section who have held up a banner and they don't want the police chief, Bernard Higgins, to come in as a safety advisor and a security advisor at Celtic. Now, listen, I've got no problem with people objecting and putting the banner up if they want to do that and object, and the club thinks they speak for the majority. That's something to debate, Ali. But I mean, at the end of the day, the club have got to decide, are they going to take a stance against them when they're throwing things onto the park? Are they going to listen to them and believe that this small section are the majority of Celtic fans who don't want Bernard Higgins in?
I think there's possibly 2 different elements to that. I think that Bernard Higgins is a very unpopular appointment. If it goes ahead, I think that would be fairly representative of an opinion amongst the body of fans.
This is because, and this is one thing I would like to highlight, and you can back it up here or contest it. Just my own personal opinion, I thought the Offensive Behaviour Act was unfair towards fans. So a lot of Celtic fans have spoken out against that. Then there's the issue of, well, is Bernard Higgins the figurehead of this, the driving force behind it? And that's really what I think is the consternation among some supporters.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that is, and I think he would be a very unpopular opinion. I think if the club go down that road, I think you'll see further protests. I don't think supporters will be silenced. I think it's an appointment that they don't want within the club. I think it's a very separate entity from what happened yesterday, prior to the minute's silence. I think you can conflate a danger of conflating two different things. I think they're entirely separate. And there was a question at the start from one of the viewers who'd asked about the songs. I think the sectarian singing, particularly at away grounds, is embarrassing. I think it besmirches the name of the club. I think it's up to the club to identify and decide whether or not they want a representative element of that follow them within games and to games, and to take action.
Yeah. Now, listen, this thing could mushroom out of control again, and I'll highlight because some people who comment on it have selective hearing, which is where you go down a road where suddenly it gathers pace, Chinese whispers. I think we all agree that there's no disagreement on people voicing their displeasure at an appointment. That's fine if they believe that they speak for the majority. If certain clubs don't want to wear a poppy, if people don't want to wear a poppy, we will have a poppy on the 11th day and the 11th hour on this show. Because I think, well, my dad fought in the war, and I think it's only right and proper that we show our respect to it. But as far as the point here, which is at times I think the Green Brigade, they do actually at times embarrass the club. And I think the club, the previous chief executive, made a point of letting them back in. And the club has now got to make a stance. The Green Brigade have said fans or your appointment. The club have got to make a call on this and maybe go and speak to them and say, well, listen, this is our stance on it.
Yeah, you're right. They let them back in. They caused a lot of consternation in the UEFA games. Celtic were getting fined, it seemed, every game. They were putting, making statements, political statements at football games. Me personally, I'm a football fan. I just want to go to the football and watch the football. There's a time and a place, I think, for political statements. Not football games for me. That's just my opinion. I feel as if they did embarrass the club at the weekend. I was sitting watching the game, and I'm thinking this is getting beamed all over Britain. And there's people maybe down south or whatever watching it, and there's people booing. And it's only a small percentage, I feel, of the Celtic support. And there must have been Celtic supporters at that game going, embarrassed themselves. And these people that are booing and singing, a lot of their relatives, their grandfathers, their great-grandfathers probably fought in the war. So it's so ignorant and so stupid and so disrespectful that they keep doing it. And for me, it just not only embarrasses Celtic Football Club, but for me, it embarrasses all of Scottish football.
Yeah. The last point on this, Ruffy, and it just sums up society as a whole, is, and I don't know which set of fans genuinely were booing anyone taking the knee, but that kind of sums it up.
It does, and we've been going on and on and on and on about it, and we always think that it's going to lodge somewhere in somebody's head, but it doesn't. There is a small element out there who persist and want to make a scene. And it's a scene, as Tam said, it's disrespectful, and it just makes the club and it makes everything associated with Scottish football, but more importantly Celtic Football Club, who are a massive club in the eyes around the world, and people looking at that would be just absolutely shocked and flabbergasted that people in this age would do that.
Yeah, absolutely. In answer to Brad's initial question about stamping out some of the songs that are sung, or if Celtic should face sanctions, or if the police should take action. The police will take action if a song goes into an area which breaks the law. That's all I would say on it, Ali. It's as simple as that. If somebody wants to sing a song that is abusive or indeed in any way offensive, the police can take action on it.
That would be the law of the land. I think it's very difficult to enforce in a situation like a football ground.
Well, we can see that on a regular basis.
Exactly. I think the reality is it's very difficult. My own opinion on it is it's embarrassing. I think it does besmirch the name of the club. I think there's been a greater propensity of it recently. I think there's been elements of it that I think have always followed Celtic, particularly in away grounds, but I think even at home I've heard more chanting than I have in the last decade than I have recently. I don't know if it's to do with coming back after lockdown and getting back into the ground. But there were songs that were very rarely heard at Celtic Park, post turn of the century, that have been aired again of late. I think it's up to the club to condemn it and come out and ask that, Celtic have plenty of songs to sing. They've got much to celebrate in their history and their heritage and the players that have passed through. I think there are certain ones you can leave at the gate.
Yeah, I hear. I think that's well put. Of course, whether they take action on that is another matter. But Ange Postecoglou was certainly happy with the win. 4-2, Celtic going forward, really impressive. And he was asked about, obviously, the songs that were being sung and the fans that disrupted the minute's silence. He called for unity.
Look, I mean, my view on all those kind of things is this: we live in a society where people are allowed to express themselves, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. My preference is it doesn't affect the 90 minutes of football. The 90 minutes of football is the time I want us all united, the whole football club. This is a special football club, and we want to have success here, and I think we all live and sort of breathe for that 90 minutes, and I'd like that 90 minutes for us to be a united club.
Well, I think Ange Postecoglou is right to comment and point himself towards what he's there to do. It's a job which is get a winning team on the park and Ruffy going forward. Jota and Kyogo may well have stolen the headlines, but for me, Ralston was top dog.
Yeah, they were fantastic. I can't wait to the next Rangers Celtic game. We're probably 5 each or something like that. The way the two of them are going forward and the goals that they're scoring. But you're right, Ralston has just taken a new lease of life. We're now talking about him being in the Scotland squad and everything, and it's amazing where he was and where he is now, and it just shows you if you get regular games, your confidence grows in a team like that, and you just keep contributing, and he's a big part of the Celtic team there. But you're right, going forward, it'll be interesting to see what Charlie says in Wednesday, but they were just unplayable up front,
yeah.
The three up front. They have everything you want in a footballer: pace, movement, and they see things before other people see it, and that's why they're doing so well.
And of course, there are some times, Tam, and I know you're smiling right now, but there are some times when social media is actually a good laugh. And boy, did the Celtic fans steam in and Ralston and Charlie falling over. It was like, I thought to myself, oh, he'll be happy he's not in on Monday.
Charlie's probably at the gym the next couple of days, because big Ralston ragdolled him, let's be honest. I was going to text him after the game, and I went, I've just been pumped, that's not the right time, but I'll speak to him on Wednesday. But no, he did bounce off big Ralston, and Charlie's a big lad, I know, quite a strong boy, but I agree. I think Ralston was fantastic. What a turnaround. A lot of Celtic fans last year would have been happy to see the back of him. Personally, I didn't think he was good enough for Celtic. I thought he was a stopgap. I thought he's a guy you can bring in if you're struggling. He can maybe just a squad player, but what a turnaround with Postecoglou. Just the way he wants to play, he looks fitter, he looks stronger. He's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, if I was Anthony Ralston, and I've spoken to him on a number of occasions, even when he was a young boy, and I know his agent as well. If I was Anthony, I'd probably just get into Buchanan Galleries and just buy lots of gear this week. He's got a new deal, he's playing out of his skin. Just go and spoil yourself for a couple of days.
It's a very Scottish mentality, isn't it?
Just that. No, I'm talking about... No, I did that gag at Bruni's and down a storm. Anyway, no, I'm talking about clothes. Just get the best of gear. Away you go.
I think he's what he has done and what you saw at the weekend is that he's not going to be content to sit in his laurels now, having got himself in. I think there might have been a temptation, having signed a long-term deal, to think, I don't need to keep putting the work in. I've proven myself here to the manager. I think what you saw on Sunday is a boy that's hungry to keep on going, to keep striving. I don't think he'll let go of that right back shirt now anytime soon. And who would have given you odds for that in August? As Tam says, I think he was seen very much as a temporary solution to that whole problem, that Juranovic was expected to go in and take that place and put him out. I think the way things have developed, he's stayed and he's proven himself. I think he is chapping at the door for Scotland call-up now. I think he has to be in consideration for the next window.
Yeah, I mean, he was at the heart of 3 goals, Ruffy. I mean, he hits the post and then he has 2 great crosses.
But the difference is now, when you're a full-back and you get into a certain area, danger area, all you've got to do is fling it into the box. Just fling it into the box, because the movement in the box is incredible. You get wee guys beating big guys in the air just because they've got that half a yard on them and they can get in. And so you're just firing, just get there and just fire it in and let's see what happens. And it's working every time the ball goes in the box.
Yeah, and as for the 2, I mean, one of them is signed on a deal, which is Kyogo, and he's been incredible. The other one, Jota, I mean, I think they're just saying, most Celtic fans I speak to are saying, get the $6.5 million out and give it to them right now.
Absolutely, he's absolutely flying. What a player, by the way. And Cammy Kerr's probably just come to 9 Wells Hospital, by the way, because he gave him a doing. I felt sorry for wee Cammy at some points, because he stops the ball and he doesn't even move. The ball, he just shifts his shoulder. And Cammy was buying the dummy, and he was absolutely superb. Some of Celtic's football going forward was sensational. I mean, I think it was the 3rd goal or the 4th goal where it cuts it back to Kyogo, and he's got a bit of fraction to hit it. His only place he could score was right in that near post, and hits it with his left foot first time and off the post. Celtic were sensational going forward at times. They were great to watch. Dundee, I didn't think played that badly at times. They scored a couple of goals against Celtic, but when Celtic are in that form, they are brilliant to watch. Well,
let's give credit to Dundee. He scored a couple of goals and managed to highlight the frailties of Celtic.
Yeah, that's the butt. You know, that's the butt. The butt's still there. It's been there for the beginning of the season. Going forward, middle to front, fantastic. But the back still throw away cheap goals, cheap goals. I don't know what the boy Welsh was doing at the first year. I don't know what Hart was doing at the second one. There was no need for him to come out and get involved in the ball. It was a good ball into the box, right enough, but there was no point at that stage of the game for him to commit himself. So that is still there, and teams will see that. Fling the ball into the box and see what happens, because they're very, very vulnerable.
That would be my fear if I was a Celtic fan and I'm looking at Old Firm games. I think over the last 7 or 8 games, Old Firm games, I don't know how many goals Rangers have scored for set pieces, and I look at Rangers' team and I think, too powerful, too big, too powerful at set plays for Celtic. So that would be the only thing if I was a Celtic fan going against Rangers. Wouldn't it be going forward? I think Celtic can score against Rangers, but set pieces I think could be a big, very difficult for Celtic to defend against Rangers.
Yeah, and the full-time assessment from James McPake, the Dundee boss, was all about they just couldn't cope with Celtic's front 3.
They went with that same front 3. It took us a while, and we ended up in a shape that suited us better, if I'm honest, after maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But by that point, you're 2-0 down and you're thinking, how's the game going to go? But they dug in, and our players, they dug in and they kept going, and they're a good team and they were on the day. Celtic deserved all 3 points.
Yeah, Celtic too good for Dundee, and in the international break, Rangers have a 4-point advantage going into that break now, and a chance, as we mentioned there, for both sides just to try and get everybody as fit as possible, strengthen their teams, and everybody's just counting down game, who's going to slip up all the way through to January the 2nd for Celtic against Rangers. But there are other teams that are playing football that we are heavily interested in covering as well. Aberdeen against Motherwell. Andrew Shiney's got a family commitment today, Ruffy.
Very convenient.
I did say to him, I said, come on. And he said, listen, please. I genuinely do it. I thought, okay, I'm going to let you off the hook, because, you couldn't make it up, could you? They've got all, I thought they absolutely battered Motherwell in the first half.
Yeah, and Motherwell just rode the storm. That's what you can do sometimes in a game. You've got to come up with the goods. 2 shots at goal and 2 shots on target and 2 shots scored. You don't get away with that very often, but the big boy took his goal well, particularly the first one. And Tam was saying on Friday, that Stephen Glass is looking for a run now and looking to get. And as a manager, that's what you look. You look at the results and you look at the players doing. And then after that game, you'd just be scratching your head going, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, listen, you know what managers are like. They can paint a completely different picture on the game you've watched, but Graham Alexander says, that was one of the best games of his career to watch.
The players were absolutely magnificent. I think the way they've trained this week as a squad, not just the starting 11, the whole squad, 20 odd players, how we've committed to it, how we need to improve. It's been superb to watch. Obviously, you have to put it in practice in game time. We did that today against an excellent team on a great run of form away from home. And I couldn't be more proud of a group of players than I've had in my career, to be honest. They were absolutely superb.
Yeah, that's one of those results where I think most of us, Ruffy, just looked and went, well, there goes 2 points, never mind 5 points. I actually had to look at it twice and think, what? 2-0 Motherwell. Van Veen was a handful. Liam Kelly was just a lifesaver.
Those saves were remarkable. He saved the points for them. I think Van Veen took his goals really well. I think I've seen flashes of him in that. When he's in that mood, he can be a real handful. I think it's just maybe consistency over the course of a season is maybe why he's at Motherwell and maybe not playing at a higher level. No disrespect to Motherwell, but I think he does look like a quality player. But he took his goals remarkably well. But Aberdeen will be scratching their heads. They should have come away with at least a point from it, I think.
Yeah, I think Stephen Glass is talking about the moments when they are in total control in the game is when they really have to ram home their dominance.
It's a setback because we're looking at build. We don't want to step backwards at any point. But I think you've got to kill games when you're on top, and I think we didn't do it in the first half, and we paid the price. So yeah, it's a setback because there's 3 points that we've left behind, and Motherwell jump ahead of us with 3 points, and that's what it is. And we've got to start looking at Dundee United now.
I can't work out Aberdeen. You think finally they've turned the corner, but the reason for me, Ruffy, they can't turn the corner is because of their back line.
Yeah, well, they've got the 2 young boys at full-back, are still learning their trade. I think one of them's injured just now, but the 2 centre-halves aren't of the standard that you would expect to Aberdeen. I think Aberdeen supporters could go down through the ages and think of the 2 centre-halves they had, and the ones they've got just now just aren't up to the scratch. They brought Joe Lewis back, which they'll be hoping he can get find a bit of form, but he's not making the big saves anymore that he used to make. So yeah, defensively, if you ask any big manager, that's where you build. You build for the back and you go forward. The players in the midfield area are good players. I just think they lack something. Aberdeen always used to have good wide men. I know Hayes is there, but they used to have great guys who go at the byline and fired tremendous balls into the box and a top class centre forward, but just not there just now.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll never believe this. I know it sounds like an excuse, but I thought to myself, I look at his face, he knows it's coming. I was really looking forward to going to Tynecastle, Tam, on Saturday afternoon. But at 10 o'clock in the morning, the dentist decided that he was taking the tooth completely out. And at one moment, I thought he was going to put his knee on my chest to get it out. And suddenly the whole day just was killed. I just couldn't make it through, and I've missed the best game of the season.
And you missed a prawn sandwiches for
well, exactly.
No, listen, I think what a result for Hearts. First and foremost, they've come off a bad run. I think they had 3 or 4 games without a win, so they come back at Tynecastle. And Dundee United are going well this season. I've seen them at Easter Road. They're strong defensively. They scored 5 against them, and it could have been 6 or 7. It was superb for Hearts. It puts them back into 3rd place. Tucked in nicely behind the Glasgow 2 and going into the international break. So they're now firm favourites for me to go and finish 3rd. I think they're strong squad. The only one thing I would say is Boyce missing, but the boy Woodburn gets his first couple of goals, maybe he'll kick on. The lad on loan from Liverpool. They're getting goals from other areas. I think the 2 full-backs, 2 defenders scored as well. So great result for Hearts. Dundee United, they'll go away and lick their wounds.
Yeah.
But a big result for Hearts.
I'll tell you an absolute stone wall of certainty this week. Siegrist is not in the team of the week, Ruffy, because the first one was an absolute howler.
Yeah, it was. I think we spoke about it. I think we spoke about it with Charlie on Friday. When you're a big guy, 6'7", and somebody hits something quite low near you, it must be very difficult to get if you're so close to the ball to get yourself down. And that's what happened. It was just too much pace on the ball and too near him. He just couldn't get it. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't, and unfortunately never got away with it. But seemingly had a lot of good saves after that.
Yeah. Well, what, 5-2?
I used to come home from Parkhead and be man of the match and get beat 6-0.
Yeah, there's a perverse way to look at it, I suppose. Good news, John Souttar in the Scotland squad. I think it's well deserved.
Yeah,
I like John Souttar.
Yeah, me too. I think it's deserved as well. I think he's an excellent player. I like his vision. I like his leadership. I like his defensive capabilities. I think it's not before time that he's in the squad. I know he's in because of for other injuries, but I think if he gets a chance, I think you should be looking to stay. He has a quality to stay there.
Yeah,
I think that's only. There's no doubt or anything like that. I just think we need to see him at that level. We need to see him at another level up, and if he can step up to that level, as Ali said, he's got everything: composure on the ball, wins the headers, can score goals. So
hit a pass, Ruffy.
Yeah, hit a pass. It's just a matter of can he go up a level to international, and I hope he does, because he's been knocking on the door for years, and the injuries have held him back.
I think that will give Hearts a wee boost as well that he's in the squad, in terms of trying to tie him down to a new contract, because Robbie Neilson will go, listen, here you go, you're in the Scotland squad. You know, you can get there by Hearts. You don't need to go down south to get in the Scotland squad. You're at Hearts. You know, you're in the squad. You know, sign that new deal, and you can maybe force you into the team. So I think that's a wee boost for Hearts in terms of trying to get him signed up.
Has Robbie Neilson received the credit he deserves, Ali? Because we certainly thought at the start of the season he could be one of the, if we were looking at 3 or 4 people who would be coming under pressure, the Hearts fans weren't too enamoured with him even by winning the championship last season. But he's put a side together, and you know, sometimes they're a wee bit tippy-tappy, but as Tam's just suggested there, they could be the third force.
I think I don't think he's probably had the credit. I think your philosophy would have been reflective of many's. I think a number of people would have thought that he might have been in danger of being one of the early casualties this season. I thought it was a fairly unconvincing championship campaign, just given the form. It was quite stuttering at times. The football wasn't the best, but I think since going up, I think you would struggle to point any real criticism their way. I think they've coped well. I think they've performed well. Goals in the teams. I think Craig Gordon's been outstanding. I think you look at what a signing he's been for them. I think he's been tremendous. I think a number of players have stepped up a level and performed. I think obviously they got off to a flyer. The win on the opening night of the season against Celtic gave them a really strong foundation to go forward. I think they maybe grew in confidence from that one and have kicked on, but I think they've had a superb start. They'll be pleased with how they've opened the campaign, and it will be about trying to sustain that for as long as possible.
Yeah, St Johnstone St Mirren, Ruffy, was another one. Did you get any points for it?
I was just wondering if we're going to talk about that game, because I don't remember seeing anything happening that we're going to talk about.
I was going to say, well, I'm going to talk about one thing, because I don't know about you, but Chris Kane, I mean, was that a sending off?
It depends what he said, Peter.
Yeah. Well,
depends
that's
what he said.
I
Depends what he said to the referee.
I was at Perth, and to be
What
fair,
did he say?
he could have been sent off prior to that for a couple of tackles after he'd been booked.
Did you think his first tackle was a yellow?
I think it probably was.
Yeah.
And I think then there was some persistent fouling after he trod a fine line, and then obviously said something stupid.
Yeah.
I was lucky to get away with it against Celtic a couple of weeks ago. He's in a wrestling match with and raised his hands to, was it Carter Vickers?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
He seems to be one of these guys, when everything's going well, it's great, but when it's no, he gets frustrated and he starts doing these things that the club don't want him to see him doing. The manager certainly doesn't want to see him doing, and he just got involved.
Yeah, I think it'd be a miss for them, because I like that type of forward, Ruffy. I mean, if you're talking about in a game where that style of player is all too rare these days. You know the style I'm on about? It's like the big guy Higdon that used to play for Motherwell. You know, holding the ball in and bringing people in is a skill. Sutton used to do it brilliantly. Hateley was magic at it. Obviously because I'm a certain age, one of the people who was fantastic at it was Derek Johnson. Derek could play with his back to goal, hold the ball in and lay, and suddenly the midfield's forward.
But this boy Kane's got a bit of skill as well. You know, I remember him out in the wing against somebody and he'd right bit, you went, wow, where did he get that from?
Yeah.
I've seen him doing it on 2 or 3 occasions, but you want him doing it up in the 18-yard box. You don't want him chasing and trying to bite people's ankles in the halfway line.
Yeah.
You want him up in the 18-yard box.
Okay, Ruffy, I'll tell him.
Not Jack Russell.
Yeah, so I was going to say to you, Tam, great news for you. I mean, Ruffy and I were worrying about it. Ali had started a Just Giving page. Hibs seem to have opened their training centre again, so looks as if you'll have a job this time when they come back.
Yeah, thank God. They've got a few games coming up. Well, no, great news. Obviously, I said they closed it completely last week. It was rife within the whole, the whole setup in there at Trinent, and deep clean. Hopefully they come back and everybody's ready to go. Listen, I've got a huge game coming up in a couple of weeks against Rangers. It's no ideal that they're going to get into that game without a game for 3 weeks. That would be concerning for if I was a Hibs supporter that they're not going to be match sharp, match fit. Rangers have got a lot of games coming up as well, so I think it makes Rangers stronger favourites than they probably would have been, but great that Hibs have got a lot of games. I think the Hibs have got 8 or 9 games in December, which is great as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just back-to-back stuff. For players, that's good because they don't like training. Yeah. For you, obviously, he's just going to...
he's of the club.
Oh, he's just going to rattle it in, isn't he? You know. But the good news is, Ruffy, 8 or 9 games means that he will be on here in the predictor, tipping them and just going further and further down the predictor table.
There's a gap beginning. I never noticed the gap, you know. Yeah. We've hauled Ali back a wee bit.
Ali's getting reined in, Ruffy. Don't you worry about that. Ali will suddenly see me just coming round the bend and then it's goodbye.
The best thing is Hugh always doesn't pick Rangers, so we've already got 2 points. If Rangers keep winning, Hugh's going to keep losing 2 points every week. So come on, you.
Well, we'll wait to see. But as far as the table's concerned, Ali, I mean, if you look at it now, I think it's got the makings of a great battle at the top end. I think Celtic and Rangers is going to be mega tight all the way. And then at the bottom end, there's still nobody cut adrift. Ross County can still produce the odd 2, 3, 4, 5-0.
Yeah, and I think they'll be heartened by going to Ibrox and scoring 2 goals. I think they'll try and take the positives from the performance. I thought they tried to set up with a positive lineup. They tried to play. I think Rangers were just too strong, especially from middle to front. But I think if you can take some of the positive elements from that performance and take it over the course of the campaign, then they'll be in with a fighting chance of getting out of where they are. In terms of the top, I think both Rangers and Celtic look as though there are commonalities between them. They're both very good going forward. I think they both look as though they've got goals in them. They can be pretty devastating. They've both got pace in them, especially now that Rangers have got Kent back in. And both, I think, look vulnerable still defensively.
Yeah, which makes for a great Old Firm game coming up, as Ruffy said, 5 each. I was
just seeing there at Dundee, I'm a wee bit worried for Dundee now. I looked at their goal difference, -16. You know, and that, coming for a relegation expert, that can come down to, you know, the last couple of games of the season. Your goal difference is huge. And Dundee have lost 9 goals in the last 2 home games, Ross County and Celtic. So
have you told Charlie you're worried about them?
I'm going to text them tonight and say you need to tighten up at the back or you're going to get relegated. And it's coming for a guy that's been relegated a few times.
I was just about to say to you, who did you tip to get relegated in the
I never picked Hamilton because they're in the league this year. I think I picked Ross County.
Did you? Well,
no, I didn't pick Livingston.
Yeah, I picked Livingston with Ross County in the playoff. As far as the team of the week, I can tell you, I think this week, just a hunch, I think there might be the odd Celtic player from Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Liam Kelly made the save or triple save of the season to keep a clean sheet up at Pittodrie. Anthony Ralston had a hand in 3 of the 4 Celtic goals and he sent Charlie Adam flying. Joe Shaughnessy commanded the St Mirren backline during a hard-earned draw up in Perth. Alex Cochrane scored a great volley and laid another on for his Hearts teammate as they ran riot at Tynecastle. Paul McMullen may have been on the losing side, but he assisted both Dundee goals with 2 brilliant crosses. Ryan Kent's hit the ground running since returning from injury and he scored a 25-yard cracker, which dipped just beneath the bar. Joe Aribo's been Rangers' most consistent player. He got a goal and assist again at the weekend. Ben Woodburn scored twice for the Jambos, his second a lovely deft finish into the top corner. Jota scored 2 one-touch finishes to cap off an excellent week with Celtic red hot in attack. Kyogo Furuhashi now has 13 goals for the Hoops, grabbing another 2 yesterday, showing he's also dangerous in the air. Kevin Van Veen silenced the Aberdeen fans with 2 fox-in-the-box finishes to give the Steelmen all 3 points.
Just looking at that side, any disagreements here? I'm not sure about McMullen. I think he could have put somebody in the left back role there.
Aye, personally, I thought Beaton yesterday. I thought Beaton had an absolutely terrific game. You couldn't see him for cigar smoke. The slippers and that one. He was brilliant in the middle part for Celtic. So probably only Beaton maybe. But apart from that, looks a pretty good team in terms of performances this week.
Yeah, okay, predictor table, Ruffy, it's great reading now because suddenly you can see it's the classic phrase, I think we might need a bigger boat, Ruffy, because we've hooked Ali in now and we're just reeling her in. It's Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. We're just going to reel her into the boat. 109, 102, there's only 7 between us now, Ali. McDonald's on 96 and and that's with predicting Rangers not to win for the last 4 weeks. And he's still ahead of Ruffy on 93, Gabriel Antoniazzi on 87, and there at the bottom, a man, as he mentioned only seconds ago, knows all about relegation, and he's soon going to know about red and white wine and lovely steaks, Ruffy.
Yeah, he is. You know, I'm speaking too soon. You know, I'm not biting. You know, because I've had it for the last 3 years. So
3 years, the last 9.
Still a long way to go.
There's only 2 people in it.
Yeah,
I know, I loved it, by the way. It was great every year.
Yeah, but no, a long way to go.
Yeah,
There's 9 games, and I think there's 8 or 9 fixtures.
the festive
December.
period.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it's
is-
going to be
Are
a
you
If I'm still
plotting?
bottled going into the new year, bottom, I'm going to start saving up my way.
yeah.
Because I'm in trouble.
You better start doing a lot more speaking. That's for sure. Ali, are you worried at this point? Or are you going to? Can you keep?
She's miles ahead of me.
Can you keep that condescending, arrogant look that you've had in your face for the last few weeks?
No,
Okay, it's getting tight up there.
cream rises.
Yeah, brilliant.
Arrogant.
Eddie Howe, I mentioned there, is the Newcastle United head coach, just in case you missed it. As far as the managers getting sacked, they haven't been hanging about, have they? Aston Villa sacked Dean Smith, and I have to tell you, Ruffy, the odds at the moment for the next Aston Villa boss, have a look at them, because there's one name screaming out there: 5-4 Gerrard, Martinez 5-1, John Terry at 6-1, Lampard 12-1, Fonseca 8-1. There's Casper Hewland in at 7-1. I had to look at that twice there. Stevie Gerrard.
Yeah, I think we've discussed it on numerous occasions, particularly when the Newcastle job was going about, you know, and would that be an attractive job for him? You know, he's the only one that can answer that. Everybody knows the end product is going to Liverpool. You know, it's what route does he take to get there? You know, and a lot of people might think, well, he needs to prove himself in that English Premiership at a team. Not a big team, but a team to take them, you know, to like what David Moyes is doing at West Ham, you know, to elevate where he is, because nothing to do with Rangers or anything like that. They just don't rate Scottish football. They don't rate any you do up here, whether you're a player, a manager or whatever. They rate it down in that Premiership. If you can go to a club and take them to somewhere that they've never been for a long, long time,
Well, that's
he
fine.
might think that way.
Yeah, that's fine, Ruffy. I don't think in Scottish football, you know, we live our life needing to be justified by what the common consent is in England, to be perfectly honest with you, Tam. At the end of the day, David Moyes was a very good manager at Everton, and then he made a move to Manchester United and get absolutely slaughtered. Some of the best pundits and journalists slaughtered them. And now they are, you know, it's like suddenly he's a hero again. Whether Steven Gerrard has to go or not to England is a good point Ruffy makes, but I think it's the type of club that he needs to go to that's the stepping stone to Liverpool. And I wouldn't be going to Aston Villa.
I think you've got a point. I think if he's going to go to Liverpool, I think Liverpool's, everybody thinks his destiny is to go be a Liverpool manager, maybe 2 or
Yeah,
3,
but
4 years.
where's he going before that?
You don't think Villa? I think Aston Villa are a huge club. I really do. And within England, I know they're down near the bottom at the moment, but I think if Aston Villa come in for him and said, listen, we're going to give you 100 million, 150 million to spend.
Yeah. Do you honestly think they're going to do that?
I don't know.
I can't see that. I can't see it. And the reason why, I mean, the last person to spend a colossal amount of money at Villa, and he got them, I think, to 7th, was Martin O'Neill. And then after that, they just cut the budget, and then they started to rein in the spending. And I don't think they've got the likes of 150 million, Ali, to say to Steven Gerrard, right, go and have a real good go at it. I think he needs, if he's looking for a stepping stone, I think he needs a kind of almost what Brendan Rodgers managed to do, which is a Leicester, you know, somebody with a bit of clout.
Funnily enough, that's the one I had thought of too. I thought, depending on what happens at Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he were to go, and I think Brendan Rodgers would possibly be in the frame for that one, and it could potentially open up a vacancy again at Leicester. I wondered if that would be tempting. Like Ruffy says, I think only Steven Gerrard can answer it. I think it comes down to what the budget is, what he would have to play with, what could he do potentially. I think they've very much been a mid-table or below club. I don't think they've been out. They've always sat between 8th and 12th really in the table. I think they're a huge club in terms of the geographical draw and the spot the fans that they bring in, but I'm not sure if it would be a plausible temptation. And then there's the question of whether or not he feels as though he still has unfinished business at Rangers. Would he like to? I think the expectancy is that he probably won't stay beyond this season. I think.
You think so?
I think 4 years at any club, I think is long for a manager in any circumstances. But I think if he was going to sign off, he would probably want to go, having won the league and then defended the league and taken them into the Champions League. I think if you look at where they were when he went in to where he would then be come the end of it, I think you would have to applaud what he had done.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The bookies have got him as favourites, but as Aston Villa haven't drawn up a short list yet, Ruffy. They'll be looking at it and saying, right, who can take us on to the next level? Has Gerrard shown enough at Rangers to you think to make that move?
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, I think if we sort of drift back to what he came into, it was an absolute mess, and where he's taken them, and he's not identified, a lot of big players. I don't know how much money he's spent to get them where they are, but certainly they're playing good football. I'm sure the Rangers supporters are happy with what they're seeing now than what they were seeing back then. But for me, it's all about stock. When your stock's high, that's when you go. I mean, I know Ali's talking about Brendan Rodgers, but look where he is now with Leicester, down the bottom of that league. His stock was way up here, and quite rightly so, with what he was doing. So, people remember, what you've done, not where you are. And sometimes that's, they identify. I just don't think that they won't have him. Just say if we're comparing what Steven Gerrard's done at Rangers and Davy Moyes has done at West Ham, I think they'd have more respect for what Davy Moyes has done at West Ham and what he's done at Rangers. Because he's down there, he's in it, he's competing against the Man Cities and the Arsenals and everything. And that's when they'll go, well, he's top manager.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, that's a stonewall certainty.
I think it's all about timing. Peter Ruffy touched on it there. I think the perfect timing for Gerrard would be to win the league this season. Yeah. And then leave, because I think if he goes into the Champions League, now look at Malmo, who were far better than Rangers over 2 games. They're getting a down in the Champions League. Now, if Gerrard gets Rangers into the Champions League, he's going to go to the board and go, listen, by the way, I need X amount to compete here. And he's not going to get it at Rangers. He's not going to get it at Rangers. So I think the perfect time for him would be win the league, get Rangers in the Champions League, and then if a big club comes up down south, I think that'd be the right time. Because I think if Rangers go into the Champions League and don't spend 20, 30, 40 million pounds, they'll just get a tanking.
Yeah. Well, the other problem that you do have there was the problem that Brendan Rodgers faced. You can't determine when the train stops at the station. Exactly. Sometimes you have to actually throw the dummy out of the pram and say, well, I need to go because I'm in danger of losing this one and this is my ticket out of here. So we'll wait to see if indeed he has the desire to win the double with Rangers. Can they win back-to-back titles? Or indeed whether somebody comes calling Aston Villa to tempt him before we go into the second half of the season. Interesting times. It's your own opinion as well on that. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and hit the bell. You'll get the notifications. Subscribers going up and up and up, and lots of people now telling their friends and sharing the stream on our football show, which is weekdays, 4 o'clock live every day. And if you don't catch it, you can watch it at your leisure later on or listen on the podcast. And the good news is, thanks to the countless people who have been downloading the PLZ Soccer app, you get all the latest breaking news, and you can actually post messages which we read out on the programme, providing, of course, they are about your team, about football, and of a decent nature. And we make no apologies for some of the people on YouTube that we've put on timeouts, because basically we try and stick to football rather than any political statements and some of the other nut job statements that come up on it, Ruffy, that just leave me utterly bewildered by some people and the way they conduct themselves. But we try and keep it decent. We want you to come here and enjoy the football chat about your team, and we're positive and negative, and we'll offer opinion on this programme. Some you like, some you don't, but at least we're talking about football most of the time. Here's the English Premier League results from the weekend, and good job Tam Cowan's not here, because he's raging because we mention Davy Moyes every week on this programme. But we'll take the heat off first of all and say, if there's a manager who's got to be the luckiest manager in the world, it's got to be the Man United boss. They were battered 2-0. Could have been much, much more.
Yeah, I have no idea why he's still in a job, to be honest. He's, again, totally outclassed. I heard some of the pundits, Scholes, Michael Owen, But absolutely bang on. There's no plan at Man United. They're just going from game to game. They've no clear way of playing.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a pressing team. They're not a passing team. You know, if they don't defend well one week, they put another defender in next week. They're just going from game to game. There's no strategy, no long-term strategy at Man United, and they're just going to keep sliding down the table. I think they're sitting in 10th now. For Man United, with the money they've spent, that is miles off where they should be.
Yeah, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as ever, has an answer for that defeat.
We needed to be more front foot, aggressive up there. But then, of course, it's we're playing against a very good team that made it hard for us to do that. Then when we had the ball, they pressed us really well. We couldn't get the angles that we knew we had to get and the quality that we knew we had to get. And so we never got to the level that we need to be.
Well, let me tell you this, Ruffy, and I'm slightly biased because he's my friend, but had David Moyes the same backing from that board with Ed Woodward that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had, who knows what could have happened at Manchester United, because right now they're going nowhere, and as I said to you, but for Ronaldo, they are just going rudderless towards the end of a season with no wins, no silverware.
Mm-hmm. No, I think Tam summed it up. There's no structure in there. There's nothing. You can't see what they're trying to do. You know, it's okay. There are certain teams you can fill with top-class, world-class players, but it doesn't mean automatically you're going to win every week, because there are flaws elsewhere. You know, and you're expecting these big players to turn it on every week, and they don't do it. But as a team, we talk about a team. It's not a team. It's not a team who will fight for each other. It's individuals floating about all over the place doing their own thing, and there's nobody there. There's no Roy Keane to sort of get them all together. You know, there doesn't seem to be a leader on the park.
Hugh Scott, who contributes regularly to the programme, said, Peter, maybe Ollie needs to take a leaf out of Steve Clarke's book and play McTominay at centre half. I mean, honestly, I think sometimes he's an easy target. I mean, McTominay's not the problem in that Man United side. I mean, I understand where Hugh's coming from, but it's the big players who are all over the place. Ian Docherty says a poor decision to sign Ronaldo. I thought it was a great decision to sign Ronaldo. I mean, I don't think Ronaldo's the problem, Ruffy, do you?
No, I know when he comes up with goals in the last 10 minutes or 2 minutes into injury time, I'd be quite happy just waiting on him scoring the goals. But you see, you can't rely on one person to dig you out a hole every week.
The thing is that they signed Jadon Sancho to play in the position that Ronaldo's playing in. So basically, as soon as they signed Ronaldo, Jadon Sancho wasn't going to play. So yeah. I don't know. Ronaldo's a great player. He scored a lot of goals, but off the ball, he's not got the legs to run about now. And
yeah.
Liverpool, I look at Liverpool's front three. As soon as the opposition get the ball, three of them, like the Terriers, they press the ball like that. Man United don't do that because Ronaldo can't do it now.
Would you not sign Ronaldo?
Yeah, I would have signed him, but I just think that you're fitting him into the team, maybe to the detriment of other players.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a good way to look at it. You're fitting Ronaldo into the side, you know, to the detriment of others. But I think he doesn't have a clue what he's doing with others.
I actually agree with Tam.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't their problem. It wasn't their problem position this summer. I think there were other areas of the pitch that they had where they had to go and identify and bolster. And I think the arrival of a global superstar detracts from some of that. I think it was an easy sell to the support. You know, people are lapping it up. You were there for his first game and jerseys flying out the shop, and I think it takes a focal point away from some of the problem areas. And as Tam says, I think he goes into the side at the detriment of other players, and in terms of the bigger picture of the team, I think you sacrificed a lot to get him in there.
Well, it's strange you say that, because when I was talking to, I hate to name drop on the programme, but when I was talking to Sir Alex Ferguson, he said the midfield is where the problem is.
Yeah, I think we all know Pogba's a different class player, and I don't know about world class, but he's up there. But he's not a team player.
Yeah, Fred. You know,
say no more.
Not having it.
Anyway, you see Roy Keane?
Oh, I know, absolutely. But they're all on him. But to be fair,
I think Neville's the only one that talks some sense.
Well, let's
level.
not get into punditry and start slaughtering pundits,
All right.
you know, because they're only on, for God's sake, man. We started off in the madness at the start of the programme. Now we're going to slaughter people who are in the same job as us. Anyway, apart from anything else, I enjoy the fact that at least you're getting an opinion. You want to watch a programme where you get opinions, and I do enjoy the banter from them at the best of times. But I am going to be slightly biased and say, West Ham defeated Liverpool. My wife did look at me yesterday and she said, you know, who do you want to win this game? You're a Liverpool fan and there's your mate Davy Moyes. And I kind of looked at Ali, I don't know if I'm open to criticism, but I said, you know, quite happy for Liverpool to lose this one. Is that bad?
I don't know. It's different when you've got a pal there and you know that the kudos is reflected on him. I think he's done a remarkable job since going to West Ham. I think it's incredible what he's done, considering the budget he's had to work with, the resources he's had. I think it's been exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he was quick to point out, David, that look at the resources West Ham have and look at the strikers Liverpool have.
I would hope before folk were saying West Ham's a tough game, but I look at every team I play in the Premier League and I think, my goodness, they're tough opposition. Whoever it may be, they'll have some strengths, they might have some weaknesses. But today's opposition have very, very little weaknesses. You know, arguably the best player in the world. They've got forward players who are so good. They've got centre half who's probably in the top 1 or 2 in the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just rhymed off 3 or 4 players that are the tops in the world in that Liverpool side, and they won 3-2. West Ham, brilliant. Last little bit of football chat, Ruffy, that we've got for today. Xavi has been paraded as the Barcelona manager. I saw Juan Laporta on the park signing a bit of the contract. Xavi signed a bit of the contract, and I looked at it and I thought to myself, please, 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 I hope there's a clause in it where it explains how they're going to offset 1.5 billion's worth of debt and give Xavi money to get some players in.
Yeah, it's going to be something we'll all be keeping our eye on, because they're nowhere near where we expect them to be with the players, and unless they've got a wonderful academy that we don't know about, and there's another
Well, they
couple.
have. It's called La Masia.
Yeah, but how many Messis are in it? And
Well,
how quickly coming through?
Well,
because they're not going to be good at buying.
Pedri's up there, but he's not quite Messi. But how many times can you unearth a Messi?
Well, that's the point I'm making, is they've not got the money to spend the big bucks like PSG and all them now because of the state they're in.
And we started off with people going absolutely crazy on our feed about what we were talking about earlier at Dens Park. But surely it'll finish with people going mental. Xavi says Barcelona are the best club in the world.
Listen, I think that currently they're not probably the best club in the world, but they're certainly one of the biggest. Having been to that Nou Camp stadium myself, 90,000 in there, what a setup. But I think he will give young players a chance. He came through that La Masia himself. He came through with Iniesta and guys like that, Piqué. And I think he'll give the young players a chance if they're good enough at Barcelona, because, as Ruffy says, they've not got any money. They're not going to go out and spend 30, 40 million on a player. They've got to bring their own players through, but he's a legend at that club, and I think that gives Barcelona a boost. I think they're sitting in 8th or 9th in the table, miles off the top. Look as if they're slowly sinking down the table, and I think he'll give that club and that city a massive boost, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali, crazy, but I think you were in the press box at the time. I know Ruffy and I were over in the Nou Camp when they were giving Celtic an absolute doing. And Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets at the time, just a joy to watch.
Just world-class players. There's whoever the PR person responsible today for getting out all the silverware and all the trophies that he'd won for his unveiling. I thought it was a really clever move, just a reminder of the calibre of player that he was and the football brain that he goes into the job with.
Yeah, and Ruffy, he must be a special player because we have him up in our office. We've got him up in the wall in our office. I mean, you only get up there if you're world class.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned 3 or 4 players. I'll throw you up there.
Ali, yours is going up like this.
No, you mentioned 3 or 4 players there, and then you left out the 3 forwards. No, and that just shows you where Barcelona were.
Yeah.
And even defensively as well, they're just different class for where they are now.
Absolutely. If you had a foreign club in Europe that you have a soft spot for, is it still PSG?
No, it's Real Madrid.
Real Madrid
It's all
for you.
white strip, it just does it for me.
Yeah, Ali?
Who's PSG?
Barca.
Barca.
No, he's talking about away back.
Yeah, what about yourself? No, you just bet
Before you-
PSG to win the Champions
because
League.
you're just a glory hunter and teams get money.
Yeah, what about
me,
yourself?
Barca for me. Aye.
Yeah, okay. Listen, it's all the joys of football. We're going to be giving away some prizes this week, so stick with us on the programme. We'll give you details of the competition coming up. Great to hear from Ali, Tam and Ruffy. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you can, download the app. You'll get all the latest breaking football news as well, and you can watch on your phone the programme at your leisure. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for watching today.